Everybody, wait a minute. Everybody, wait a minute. Everybody, wait a minute. Sunshine, sunshine. Everybody, wait a minute. Yeah, but everybody, wait a minute. Yeah, keep it. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. What's up, world? Welcome to I Mix What I Like right here at I Mix What I Like. Welcome to this impromptu jamboree. Shout out to those who are able to make it, happen to be able to make it, to those who will hear and see this later. Peace and welcome to you as well. So it just, I admit, I love when this happens, and it has happened again. Um, Not the misrepresentation of me or my work so much, but the quick response. And again, it's all relative, but it feels like a deluge from all corners, people sharing this with me and saying, so as was sent to me a couple of times, I thought, that I should respond expeditiously, especially since schedule wise, I won't have time to get to this before I think Friday at the earliest. And I honestly don't know if we want to keep taking up time with this and or waiting that long. So the short of it is, again, Killer Mike in conversation, this time with T.I., keeps making reference to me indirectly uh, and inaccurately. So I thought, let's clear up, if as much as possible, the confusion. So again, peace to those who are able to be here. Thank you for joining me and us. And so let me pull up real quick the video in question. As I said in my notes initially, at least it's short. It's not a long one. So this shouldn't take too long. And then I'll jump back in the chat and we can
The
see what you
medium
all
African
think.
American.
So I don't know what else was said in the longer conversation. I was only sent this clip. It was posted as a clip, so they're clearly fine with it as a clip. How can Black Americans gain generational wealth? All right, so let's
The medium African American family income annually is $41,500. However, the annual African American spending,
What we all spend together.
what we all collectively spend together, is 1.35 trillion now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How do we convert?
So, and it's funny because I don't know if maybe we'll do it tonight. I don't know, but I was actually looking at something else, literally, as this was sent to me, about multicultural advertising and buying power. When I started getting all these messages about this video, which apparently just came out, I think, just a couple of days ago, um, or it was posted 2 days ago. Yeah, but so one, my point would be just quickly as it relates to that it is said Latinos have over 2 point something trillion in buying power. Asians have 1 point something in buying power. Collectively, it's like three. I'll come back to that. But the point being, it said that all these other groups have buying power. But again, only when it comes to Black people is it framed in this kind of way about it being a liberatory force. Uh, but so that's one thing. The other thing, of course, is that these numbers are, as the Selig Center, where they come from, are estimates and projections based on the spending of a handful of the population. And it's extrapolated again through estimates and projections to be the total spending. Now, again, it doesn't it doesn't account for what is spent on credit. It doesn't account for, which of course is attached to this second point. It doesn't account for what is attached to in terms of spending. It doesn't account for what then, based on it being a loan, you could actually use that money for. And I've used the example of a couple of years ago when we had to replace our roof. We got a loan from the bank specific to that endeavor. We could not have taken that and bought whatever. And yet on the books, that would have gone down as buying power, or that money spent on the roof would have gone towards this collective's buying power. So that's that. And again, more, and then I'll stop here with this third point, that these numbers are meant to help ad buyers target their ad revenue to attract consumption of their products. It is not a measurement of the actual income or wealth or economic power, certainly political power, of the Black community or any other community. That's not what these. That's where it keeps getting misrepresented. But okay, let's keep going.
Income to generational wealth, because whether we hustle to get it,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, whether we gamble to get it,
yeah,
whether we rob to get it,
yeah,
whatever we do to get it, whether we work to get it, whatever we do to get it, it hits our hands.
Yeah.
But when it hits our hands, what we decide to do with it, that discipline that must be instilled, taught, and practiced.
Yeah.
That's what's like. How do we instill, teach, and motivate our young people and ourselves? Because I need more discipline too. You know what I'm saying? But how do we do that? So
again, this is not an issue of discipline. And remember, if Black consumers or anyone else stop spending in the economy of this country, which is based 70% plus on consumption, will collapse. So again, the target should not be how or what we spend. The real target should be the wealth created from that spending and have that be redistributed. But okay.
We can, have more generational wealth among us.
So I've seen it argued. I think the name of the book is "The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power."
Thank you, Mike. It is "The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power." It is. Thank you.
Two sides of the argument now. So on one side, you have very leftist of what people describe liberal as, typically very conscious and pro-Black in perception. And they're saying that the numbers you just stated is a mythology, that the 1.2 trillion won't save Black people from the position they're in. And so there's an argument.
Let's explain that. I want to hear what their position is.
Yeah. Hey, anytime. T.I., anytime. Anytime you want to hear what the position is, I'm right here. You can hit me up. Send an email, whatever. Or feel free to get the book. The first edition, everybody, is free. Still, you can get a digital copy for free of the first edition. The second edition, you can get in hard copy for, I think it's $24.95 or something like that. $25. Get the second edition, or you check out the many videos, discussions, you know. But anytime, anytime.
What they're saying is that you're spending your dollar, but it doesn't matter because the dollar is escaping the community. Now, on the other side, you have
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the problem is that you're spending your dollar and that the problem is it's escaping the community. I'm saying that the wealth created from the exchange, from the purchasing exchange, is going to the hundreds of trillions of dollars at this point to a top 1%, and that should be redistributed. That's ultimately what I'm saying. And that the phrase buying power is not meant to reflect the economic strength of the people being described, in this case, Black people. It's meant to reflect what that either really what is either how much you can buy in the economy, what the value of the dollar is, or what the cost of inflation, et cetera, so forth. Uh, uh, or it's really meant, as I said again, in this case, to be a measurement of what's available for corporations looking to spend their ad revenue to target consumers. It's not, and again, that's why it's based on estimates and reflections. And somebody, if you look in the comment section already in this video, someone points it out that essentially it's even if you accept these numbers, and this is a point I actually make in the book. This person either didn't attribute this to me or came to this independently, but ultimately, what it's also a measurement of is, again, every single living Black person, regardless of age, spending every penny they earn. That's where you get that trillion plus figure. That's one way you can come to it, at least. As I show, there really is no clarity around that. But that also means that you're talking about every single person in the Black community spending every single penny that they earn. That's and suggest that this is somehow organizable in such a way that it will generate life-changing, and as T.I. said, generational wealth for anyone, much less the community itself. That's again a little longer. What I'm saying is not true, but I am not simply saying the problem is that we spend money and it goes to other people's communities. In fact, I'm saying we don't have any other choice but to do that. And the idea that Black businesses could replace everything Black people buy that is owned by other people is part of the fantasy of a segregated economy, which Marisa Baradaran has demonstrated, among others, is not real. You can segregate people, but you cannot segregate money.
Conservatives like Walter E. Williams, who's a natural economist. You have Thomas Sowell on the other side that are saying, no, your dollar matters.
Just quick, I just want to back this up so you can hear the specific hate here on me. That on one side is this leftist over here, and as he said, by perception only pro-Black, as opposed to on the other side, actual economists like Walter White.
Dollars escaping the community. Now, on the other side, you have conservatives like Walter E. Williams, who's a
Walter Williams. I'm sorry, I keep saying Walter White because I'm thinking of yeah, right. But anyway, Breaking Bad. But no, this is just bad.
You have conservatives like Walter E. Williams, who's a natural economist. You have Thomas Sowell on the other side that are saying, no, your dollar matters in this economy, and capitalism is the best system for you, although not perfect. It allows you to provide goods and services, and for those goods and services, in return, you get the opportunity to gain capital to pass on wealth and to employ others. You keep it going.
So I appreciate this point, at least if for no other reason, that Mike is again clarifying he's on the right and the pro-capitalist right wing. And I at least appreciate that he's distinguishing me, even though I don't get my name mentioned, he's distinguishing me from right-wing Black capitalists like Walter E. Williams and Thomas Sowell. I'm happy to have that distinction made. And in fact, if folks remember, what started all this at one point was when Mike held up on Instagram my book next to Walter Williams' book. I put in and said he's reading both, and wanting to somehow put us in league with one another. I commented to him that please draw the distinction that it is, in this case, a mutually exclusive situation here. It's one or the other. So I appreciate that. Want the distinction to be made. So, and I'm glad he's clarifying that he's on that side of it as well. And that he's arguing, as I am not, that capitalism can save anyone, black people, but in this case, black people. So appreciate that. Oh, and by the way, just for the sake of those, who may not have already heard this a million times, the book is titled "The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power." The title is meant in some way to signify my areas of quote unquote expertise being in Africana and media studies. So I admit from the jump in the book, if Mike or T.I. were to ever read it and talk about it honestly, I admit openly I'm not an economist, but my argument is not based on an economics argument. My argument is based on largely one focused on Black history and propaganda, media studies, and I'm tracking the narrative around, hence the title "Propaganda," the claim of buying power, and eventually, with some slow motion forthcoming work, Black capitalism. So that's one thing. The other thing is that my work, if anyone were to ever be honest in dealing with it, cites economists. A lot of my argument is based on what economists are actually saying is the actual position of the Black community. So it's very disingenuous for him to, after doing us the favor of just making that distinction between me and these conservatives, but then not pointing out what my book actually does do, including, by the way, of course, having a foreword for the second edition written by Dr. Derek Hamilton, who some might consider, one of the nation's leading economists at this point. So for whatever that's worth, if anyone wants to be honest about the work, Mike, T.I., anyone in their audience, anyone else, they would have to at least acknowledge that those bits of facts as well.
Now, the truth to me is somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Right? Buying shit alone will not save the African American community.
Right.
But until you get to a means where you produce the raw materials that do shit, a good median is to at least own the stores.
Okay.
So when I sneaker shop, if I have to afterbuy, I tend to buy, instead of pivoting toward even a StockX, who are the Black dealers or Black stores that I could buy from?
Right.
Because I know if I support that, I'm supporting that store, which supports that owner, which supports 5 and 10 employees, which puts more dollars. And then those kids go down to Peter and Walker Street. They spend that at Escobar. They spend it at Bankhead Seafood. Mm-hmm. Now that dollar's moved 3 times.
That's right.
In our community. It's helped to employ 3 different sets of people. Okay. It's moved that. Much like Greenwood, the place in Tulsa, was a self-sufficient town.
Notice, I don't know if they get into it anywhere else. When he talks about Greenwood here, he's not talking anymore about his banking app. He's going back to the mythology that has been debunked repeatedly, including in a brand new book that he's featured in by Ebony Reed and Louise Story, that debunked the claim around Black Wall Street, and more importantly, and with more clarity, around the circulating dollar. But he doesn't mention any of that. He comes right back to this point here, which is, again, not something I'm targeting with my argument in that I'm not saying don't support Black businesses. I am saying that there has been a long held position by Black capitalists who own these Black businesses to push this as a more liberating solution. And then I also point to economists who make the argument, and I think demonstrate quite well, that this is that the support of Black businesses doesn't help, and that this circulating dollar claim is not real. So, and by doesn't help, I mean help the entire Black community uplift itself out of its very structured colonial capitalist oppressive conditions. But okay, all right.
In the middle of a white racist city, because that dollar had to turn 36 times a month, although the Black customer dollar leaving your...
And I think two Black, and forgive me, his colleagues, his co-author's name escapes me at the moment, but in Laundering Black Rage, again, they point out that this part is also mythology about what Tulsa was. A handful of black entrepreneurs doing relatively quite well, and 95 or whatever percent of the black population just being regular working people. And again, all of that being subservient to a white oil industry. So it was not.
Your community will not save you. I would have to argue the black consumer dollar staying in helps your community and the greater community so much to the point that when I interviewed and told that to the Bloomberg magazine, said that, focus buying, if our economy does better, the greater community does better, the head of the feds in Atlanta agrees with that. So when people tell me that the black...
So, of course, okay, catch what he just said here, because this is something I pointed out kind of a lot lately. He said that Bloomberg and the head of the Fed in Atlanta both agree, that the Federal Reserve that is in Atlanta, both agree with him that if black businesses do better, the broader economy does better. So you gotta catch how he just contradicted himself right then and there. This is actually, I didn't even catch this the first time I watched this. This is a very actually important point, and deserves
message.
Because first he said the black dollar circulating within the black community through black businesses and black consumption through black businesses helps the black community. All right. Then he quickly jumped just now to Bloomberg and the head of the Fed in Atlanta agree with him that First, he said the black community circulating the dollar within the black community and black businesses helps the black community. That's the first error and well demonstrated myth, or just error. Then he said, if the black community does better, and Bloomberg and the head of the Fed in Atlanta agree with him, the broader economy does better. So maybe later I'll add this to the show description, but I just did it. I just did it. I can't even remember, but we just talked about this the other day. These reports that keep coming out and have been coming out for quite a while, McKinsey and others keep talking about it, that have shown or claim to have shown, and I think the more recent one was the Brookings Institute, that if you hire, that black businesses are good to support because black businesses will hire black people. And even when white businesses hire black people, it benefits the greater economy, because even hiring one person, they said, is supposed to add like $450 billion or some crazy number to the broader economy. But the point being, as Mike just said, the Fed in Atlanta agrees with him that when the black community does better, in this case through black capitalism and entrepreneurialism and supporting black businesses, the broader economy does better. Why? Because you can't segregate money, even if you can segregate people. And what happens when you support those black businesses? They in turn, if they hire more black people and those black people have money, they in turn have to spend more in the broader economy and want to spend more in the broader economy. Because when you get rich, if you have money to spend, again, there are not enough black businesses in enough of the economy to buy all of the different things you want, especially at the higher end of things, once you have the money to afford it. So you have to go. Then you have to get venture capital and investment, as we keep also identifying here and in our satellite area spaces, that the as soon as a black-owned business gets big enough, it sells itself to a white one. This is what John Hope Bryant and everyone keeps pushing for. Get yourself to a credit score so you can get a loan from a bank to buy a house to get. All of that is helping the broader economy. Get your money up so that you can start getting loans and better, and then you can help the. So again, he just contradicted himself right there, once again, demonstrating the point that I'm trying to make. Of course, they're going to say, if black people do better, the broader economy does better. Because what does that mean when the broader economy does better? The people who own it do better. Who is that? The 800 people worth, what was it, 600 some trillion dollars now. The 1/10 of 1%. The people Mike and them hang out with. And the people that John Hope Bryant and them write letters to. I mean, that was wild. That was great
Black
right there.
buying power is a mythology.
In fact, that was.
Now listen, that's called my boy.
All right, hold on. Let me back it up here a little second so we can get the hate, get the full-fledged
Feds in
hate.
Atlanta agrees with that. So when people
let's see that
does better, the
again.
greater community does better.
Let's hear
Bloomberg
that
magazine
again.
said that, focus buying, if our economy does better, the greater community does better. The head of the feds in Atlanta agrees with that. So when people tell me that the black buying power is a mythology, I'll nod and I'll say, okay. But what isn't a mythology is if you sharpen the tip of your spear.
Right.
If we're spending money like here, it doesn't work. But the minute your spear does this.
Again, he's demonstrating what I mean by mythology and what, again, I try to lay out clearly in the book. If he would say it's not clear in the book, okay, I understand that. All right. But then I'll walk you through it. I'll talk you through it. If I didn't do it right in one interview or one presentation, give me another chance. I'll walk you through it. Well, but again, what he's saying, hold on. hold on.
Is if you sharpen the tip of your spear.
Right.
If we're spending money like here.
What I'm saying is the mythology is that our buying power can be used to some liberating end. I'm not saying that we can't focus spend, we can't boycott, we can't do this, we can't do that. Or as he's saying here, we can't help the broader economy. Of course, that's my whole point. That's all buying power is. That's what I'm saying is the mythology. That the buying power is not a reflection of what is a liberating potential. It is a reflection of our ability to enhance and benefit the broader economy, which we do not own. That's the point.
It doesn't work. But the minute your spear does this, and it says, I'm only going to move my money here.
Right.
And when that happens, what you start to see is a transition. Well, what's the transition you see? The day after we did that, we said, well, what's going to happen next? We don't know. More black people got accounts. They were flooded with accounts, had to hire new employees at the banks. But about 30 days later, Wells Fargo came up with $60 million for black mortgages. They didn't do that for black and brown.
Again, listen to what he's saying. The contradiction is crazy. Wait a second.
What you start to see is a transition. Well, what's the transition you see? The day after we did that, we said, well, what's going to happen next? We don't know. More black people got accounts. They were flooded with accounts, had to hire new employees at the banks. But about 30 days later, Wells Fargo came up with $60 million for black mortgages. They didn't do.
What he's saying again is, once black people demonstrated some modicum of an ability to put their money in this Greenwood Bank, so I stand corrected, he did kind of sneak in some kind of reference to it. What happened? But what happened? What I just said happened. Wells Fargo came in with $60 million for mortgages, which is what? $60 million they're going to get back with interest from that black community. How is that? That is the buying power. That's my point. The power to enrich Wells Fargo. That's exactly my point. Man, this whole thing is.
Now listen.
This whole thing is bars.
Do that for black and brown. They didn't do that for disenfranchised or poor. They did it for black mortgages. And they specifically said black at a time where they weren't. You get what I'm saying?
And of course, he's not being honest or fully descriptive, at least. Of course, they made loans to Latinos and other groups. This was just a targeted campaign to black people. That's, again, my point. Every segment of the economy, I just went through this the other day, every segment of the economy of society is targeted for an assessment of their buying power. Every municipality, every corporation, every segment, every age group, every gender, race, everything, everybody is broken down to this. So of course they're making loans to all these communities. It's only when it's narratively framed and propagandized as revolutionary for black people does it have that's the only time it's weaponized in that way because of the particular history of black people. Yes, absolutely. But it's not meant to mean that the concept takes on a more real meaning in that context. It's weaponized, has less real meaning when targeting black communities.
So for me, when people argue the mythologies or they argue, and it's not me trying to argue with that professor, but again,
we don't have to argue. We could have a conversation. You could just don't even have to talk to me. You could just do a public reading of the book.
This professor,
Well, I mean,
the argument on the other side is given by an economist,
Sure.
Walter Williams.
Walter E. Williams. Now, again, what does he say? Walter Williams says that contradicts something that I've said, and then what would he say to Derek Hamilton or any of the economists that I cite in the work?
Williams is an economist,
Right.
And he's saying
he studies this.
Yeah, that's all he
spent his life studying.
And that's also false. He does not only study buying power and, but he does study how capitalism is going to benefit black people. That is his lane. And of course, I want to be juxtaposed against that.
Yeah, he said, Negro, take your money. Take care of yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Partner with others in your community.
All right. Wow. Hey. Thank you, though. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Mike T. I do appreciate that. Even disingenuous discussion or reference to me and my work, but it's all of it
is wrong, bro.
And when it comes to my book,
you just don't read, beloved.
Oh man. All right. So anyway, like I said, it was short. At least it was short. And I appreciate you all coming through on this impromptu sort of quick pop-up. But and if there's any, let's see, let me check in the chat here, any comments or what did I miss? Uh-oh. Yeah, anyway. It's wild. It's wild though. It is wild. It is wild. It is wild. It is wild. Do you think he's still mad you didn't want to be his Jegna? Nah, he never wanted that. He said Andy Young had already taken, and there was it was not a genuine interest in building. I wouldn't have expected it to go this long though, with this many disingenuous, continuous jabs. But but again, all jokes aside, again, I admit I'm having fun with this, but all jokes aside, it does bother me that because I know his audience and they already had hundreds of thousands of views, I think, on this thing. And his audience who end up in my classrooms, who end up in our spaces organizationally, socially, familially, whatever, they are manipulated by that messaging. And when you have two people who are not, I don't think either one of them are incompetent when it comes to speaking their viewpoints. They're talented MCs, performers, long time on stage and all of that. And they have big audiences, relatively speaking. So it's, no, I don't think Mike ever read it very closely. At least he held it up in one picture, but it's the other part I admit also kind of in that naive sort of way, I also feel like it's just intellectually dishonest. I mean, they're not holding up competing arguments and investigating them and encouraging their audiences to investigate them. They are bashing me, and then I think worse, they're bashing not only inaccurate analysis, but they're bashing left politics. They're bashing revolutionary ideas. They're bashing important histories on this day, Dr. King's birthday, no less. At least when I'm dealing with it, that they're, but it again, as Douglas and Loggins showed in their work, and others have shown, King made that beautiful statement. Andy Young, your problem is you're a capitalist and I'm not. So they would sit there happily representing Atlanta, happily representing blackness and Dr. King and civil rights and freedom and all that, and totally misrepresent everything. It's unfortunate. So no, they would never. And again, it does. It does. We don't have to. We don't have to debate. We don't have to talk. We don't have to. It doesn't. If the animosity has gotten to that level, that's fine. But they could again walk through the text, do a discussion of the book. He did though, right? I do like the I like the way Steve has described this. He dissed you on an album and that won a Grammy. You win, and I agree with that. I have never been dissed uh, um, by such a celebrity, by such a well rewarded and well regarded. What's up, Shaniqua? Peace. I hope all is well. You're living rent free in Mike's head. Also, do you think someone sent him? Oh, I don't know about all that. I don't know. Look, look. I'll be honest. I have moments. I have moments where the echo chamber gets loud in my head, and I might think for a second. I would like to think, and sometimes I would like to think that I've done so much to earn even a small COINTELPRO like sending Mike to discredit me routinely. Like I would like to think. But once I calm down and think for a second, as they say, touch grass, step outside, talk to anyone in my family, I'm like, nah, probably it's probably one of those things that has gone on. I think a lot of us experience. There's just some people you meet and you just don't get along with. And uh I don't know. I don't know. Um yeah. And no problems, Flomo. It's okay to say that you haven't got the book. I appreciate this. It's not a problem, especially since you're not out here bashing it. It's, not everybody's going to read it. It would be nice if people wanted to talk so much about it or me that they might pick it up and check it out. But you know, um, and then I mean, on the other part of it is, I get it. I don't have a background in economics, but I mean, I would hate to think that if not media studies that or communication studies, that Africana studies wouldn't get dissed so readily. I mean, you think about all the great critiques and analysis of the world and the economic condition of Black people in particular that came from people not traditionally trained in economics or traditionally trained in any background. I mean, would we really dismiss all of that? Dr. King didn't have a PhD in economics either, but you know. All right. All right, good people. I just wanted. I'm glad to be able to get this to get this off my chest. Get an expeditious response. Respond expeditiously, and So the speculation from me, Ryan, is that the track "Talking Shit" was at least in part inspired by me. That's at least for me my. And I used to think of it more as a joke, but the longer and the more often this continues to happen. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I really was. Uh, and then but that's what it is. Even when you diss me, you get a Grammy. You know what I'm saying? Oh wow, that's so funny. No, lawyer up. No, it wasn't like that. It was in the greatest tradition of rap beef disses. It would be an honor. The issue is he wouldn't say my name. He never says my name. It would be better if he said. And come on, my last name. I mean, it's so there's so many things you could do with that. But it's all good. It's all good. This was fun. This was fun. Um, and I appreciate you all. By the way, if if you are interested, uh, this is one of the features of Restream that I do like. You can there you go. You can get the second edition. You can still get the first edition for free. And I'll put the link in the show description, but it's at imixwhatilike.org. You can get the first edition for free in digital form, or you can get the second edition featuring, again, a forward from Dr. Derek Hamilton, who was even the chief economist. I forgot the exact title, but he was on the transition team and worked as an economist for the candidate that at one point Killer Mike said he supported years ago, Bernie Sanders, among his many other credentials. So maybe you know. Um, and there are other economists that I reference in the book that Mike could maybe check in the citations, or others could check in the citations if they want, and get that as well. But again, in all seriousness, I appreciate. I admit I enjoy. I do get some enjoyment from the indirect reference, and I do appreciate. I definitely appreciate that juxtaposition. Please, yes, make it clear. I am not on Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell's team, so I don't ever want there to be confusion with that. So I'm happy that Mike did me again the favor of calling out that distinction. We are not on the same team. But yeah, feel free to get a copy of the book and see for yourself. See for yourself. Otherwise, listen. No, really, if anything, I might owe Mike. I might owe Mike a couple dollars in I mean, if he ever said my name, my goodness, it might be crazy. But and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Delquavius, thank you very much. All right, good people. Again, hey, I'm 53 years old. I've heard them all. At least I think I have. I bet the chat is hilarious. Um, no, thank you all very much. This has been great. This is fun, and I appreciate the opportunity in this space to be able to do it. Thank you all for coming through. Uh, Definitely. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, support the channel here, and please do the same over there at Black Liberation Media, where the remix is back tomorrow, and I'll be back with Geechee and Company Friday morning over there for another big show, and Saturdays with Renee over there. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. As always, peace only if you're willing to fight for it. Like the very anti-capitalist Fred Hampton used to say, who politically and analytically always.
Looks like a home run to me.
And I'll catch you next time right here at I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.
And what do you sacrifice?
Calm, kindness, kinship, love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago for which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, that set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything, 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 everything.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.